Welcome back, y'all. Got another video for you. Working on the Civic again. I just changed out the fuel lines. If you haven't checked that video out, click it. But while I was under there, saw that the brake lines going towards the rear of the car were rusty. They are replaced towards the back, but not towards the front. So that's what we did. Got some nickel copper brake lines, replaced those. It wasn't fun. So didn't record that piece, but I'm bringing to you how to bleed them using this little thing by four uncles. Four of them. So gonna flip you around, take a look at all the stuff that came with it, and then we're gonna jump over to the Civic and start bleeding these brakes. All right, so we have the main, I guess, vacuum portion of it. This side gets hooked up to shop air. It comes with all these different fittings to fit onto the bleeder valves. Here's the actual hose. You take this off. You just put that on there, go onto the bleeder screw, and then it'll just, by the Venturi effect, if you don't know what that is, but it basically just forces air past, and then it causes a suction to pull out more brake fluid into the system. So it pulls it through all the brake lines and then out of the bleeder screw. Comes with all these that we can change out. I'll just throw this one back on there. So we got two different ones. This is for going onto the actual bleeder screw. But then this other one is used like a straw. So like in the actual master cylinder, you can plug this up into there and then suck out any dirty old fluid so you can get as much out from the top as possible. Then you go ahead and fill it up with the new brake fluid. And speaking of, this thing allows you to not have to like keep an eye on this, because if the master cylinder goes out while you're bleeding your brakes, then you have to bleed the whole master cylinder, which would take even longer. So you fill this thing up, and then I'll demonstrate this on the car, but you'll fill this thing up with the brake fluid, and then it has like an on-off valve here to start flowing. You can shut that off. But what you do is you sit it on the actual master cylinder, tighten this down so it holds itself there, and if it gets below here, it'll just add some so that it's always topped up. So with that being all explained, I'm gonna hop over to the car and start bleeding brakes. All right, over at the car, so this is the brake master cylinder coming off of the brake booster, and then just gonna demonstrate how this thing works. So you just loosen this off, pop this in there, and then just tighten it down. But then when it gets past a certain level, it'll just refill. Gonna get this filled up, and then I can actually give y'all a shot of it working, because when taking the brake lines off, as you can see the new nickel copper brake lines, when taking those off, it drains some of the brake fluid out of the old lines and the system itself. So this is actually lower than it should be. When I go to put this on here, it'll refill itself. So gonna get this filled up and then show y'all that. All right, so as you can see, it's down below the actual end of this. So gonna just twist this and watch it flow. I can get my thumb out of the way. So it's filled up at least to where that nozzle is on the filler. But as you can see, it stopped. That'll happen anytime that the brake fluid level goes down in here. So, but with that, we'll move furthest from the master cylinder, since that's over here and we don't have ABS in the car. We'll move to the passenger rear, do that one first, then come to the driver rear, passenger front, driver front. Before I hop back there, just wanted to give y'all a look at how this works. So just compressed air, and then with this hooked up, and pulling the trigger, air will come out of here. And I guess this is like a little silencer, so it's not just loud air flowing through. But then with that, this will have a suction on it. It's not much, but I can definitely feel that's how it works. Gonna hop back there and then demonstrate how it actually works on the car and get these new brake lines filled with brake fluid. All right, y'all, we're back at the rear brakes. We're actually on the passenger side rear, just because the driver side is pretty cramped over there. So I've already bled that side to the best of my knowledge, or at least have flushed majority of the fluid back to that cylinder. So might do this process like 2 or 3 times, but not gonna bore you guys with that. So back here, I have an 8mm line wrench. You normally use it for brake lines just because you can't get a full socket on here to get all sides. But so this is the best thing that you can. Got an 8 for the bleeder screw. Gonna slide that on there and then have the nipple from the tool itself. Pop that there. We're gonna crack this loose. And then I'm just gonna squeeze and watch the tubing for any fluid coming out. Old dirty fluid. It's yellow. As you saw, the stuff that we put in was clear or just off clear, but not anything like this. So gonna get all this out. This is really just from this little bit right here and maybe some in the proportioning valve, mainly just this flexible since everything else is new from front to back. So as you can see, there's not much coming through because all of what was literally just contained right here is not there anymore. So now it's having to suck all that air out and then new fluid from up front. So now that it's coming clear, I know that we're getting new fluid, and some of these air bubbles could be coming literally just from here, that it's sucking out just from out in the garage versus actually in the line. But gonna go just a little bit more. And then just gonna tighten it up. So I'm gonna do that for the passenger front and driver front, and then I'll test the brakes out, see if they feel good. If they're squishy, then of course I'll come back through and do the rest of them. But that's really it to the whole process. That's why some people will go out and get these. Some say that this is probably like the best one off of Amazon, but others will pay double, triple the amount for some. But you know, I'm cheap over here. I like, not cheap, affordable. Cheap on the price tag, but not on the quality. So just going to go ahead and run through the other two and then get you a little conclusion on what I think of this and get this puppy back on the road. Well, that's going to conclude today's video. I appreciate you guys coming. One little advice tip that I have, if this ever like tips over or like fluid gets towards that front part, it'll actually come out whenever you go to blow air out. So be careful of that. But as you can see, got a bunch of dirty fluid out of here. Let me get you a better look. So it's dirty, brown, greenish. So definitely need a change out of those front, out of the fronts. And then of course, flush through and filled in the new lines. But yeah, if you're bleeding brakes and you need something, sure, check out the 4 Uncles. I'll put the link in the description. But little vacuum brake breeder, right? Yeah, words are hard. The vacuum brake bleeder. So catch you guys next time. But with that in, we'll start at the rear. You start furthest from the master cylinder. Jesus Christ. So Gonna move to the rear. Oh, shit. Stop.